Good afternoon. I want you to take a moment right now and I want you to reflect on a question that I'm going to have for you. But first, I need you to close your eyes. You to close your eyes. I want you to clear your thoughts. I want you to empty your mind right now, and I want you to empty your brain of any thoughts that you may have in this moment. And I want you to think of this question. But first, breathe in and breathe out. Keep your eyes closed and answer the question. How do you peel a banana? Do you peel it the traditional way and slice it down the middle and then peel the sides? Do you do monkey style and pinch it from the bottom until it bursts open? Do you take it by the stem, peel it down? Or do you throw caution to the wind, throw it up in the air, split it down the half, and then peel it down? Now open your eyes. Does it matter how you peel the banana if in the end you're still going to eat the banana one bite at a time? Kimberly Pineda's Go Bananas activity talks about these strategies and how these many strategies still lead to the same thing. We still eat the banana. It doesn't matter if you peel it from the stem or from what we call the bottom, or it doesn't matter if you peel it down the half or if you slice it up. You're still in the end eating the banana. And this is culture. Culture teaches us that there are automatic ways of doing things, which is peeling a banana. Do you remember when you learned how to peel a banana? Does anyone remember? Who taught you? Did your mom teach you, your dad, your grandmother? Was there a time frame as to when you had to learn how to peel this banana? And who tells you that you're peeling it the wrong way? Who tells you that you're doing it the wrong way? This is culture. There are automatic ways that we learn things. And I know what you're thinking. Here we go again on this diversity talk, where we talk about culture and we focus mainly on ethnicity and language and race. And many times we end up feeling left out of the conversation. In culture, there are many, many different parts. There are many, many different dimensions. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I want to talk to you about Lee Gordon Schwartz and Anita Rowe. They implemented the 4 dimensions of culture. These 4 dimensions of culture are organizational, they are internal, external, and personality. And these elements basically help us understand who we are. They help us create that self awareness, that understanding of our culture. See, I'm sure you've been many times to conferences and seminars where you've gone to these conferences and thought, oh, the only way that I can really assimilate or understand is if I let go of my own culture. Like I have to leave what I'm bringing to the table to be able to assimilate or adapt to that other culture. And so today I want to explore a little bit more about that. Uh, Many times in the realm of culture, like I said, we look at those 3 areas, right? We look at race, we look at language, we look at ethnicity. But when we're able to look at ourselves and understand how unique we are and how different we are, then at that time is when we're able to look at others and understand other people's differences. But until we understand how unique we are, we can't move to that next step. So, what is culture? Well, culture is eating rice and beans as a staple food. Culture is your hairstyle. Culture is your education. Culture is how you live with a physical disability. Culture is many things wrapped in there, and that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you different. And when you're able to see that, when you're able to see who you are, then you can start to see others. I remember teaching my first semester, teaching this topic, and a student at the end of the semester said to me, I thought I was a cookie cutter white boy, and at the end of this, now I see that I am so full of culture. And so when we're able to see that beyond these 4 dimensions, there are many, many elements in here, when we're able to break that down and be curious about who we are, then we can start to be curious about other people. See, culture is rituals and beliefs and practices that a group of people believe in or a group of people practice. That's what they do together as a group. When we're able to see that peeling the banana, the way that you do it, it's not wrong the way that you do it. And another person peeling a banana another way may not be wrong the way that they're doing it. We're still meeting the same goal. We're still eating the banana. Kimberly Pineda's Go Bananas activity was based on this. So she went out of the country and she was peeling a banana. And while she was peeling a banana, family members were kind of giggling at her and not sure, like, why is she doing it this way? And she asked, she was curious. She said, why? Why are you laughing at me? What's so funny? And they said, why are you peeling the banana that way? And she got a little offensive, like, well, this is how I peel the banana. This is how I was taught how to peel the banana. This is how my mother taught me how to peel the banana. I do it the right way. And they showed her how they did it. It worked for them. The way that she peeled the banana worked for her. The way that they were peeling the banana worked for them. Because in the end, what were they doing? They were still eating the banana. So when we're able to see that many of our differences also bring us to a lot of similarities, then we can start to look at this collaborative society that we have and start to bring all these thoughts together. Now, I want to share with you ways on how can we get there. And I know you're probably thinking, she's full of culture. You can just look at her and see that she's got all this culture. That's an assumption. And we are filled with a lot of assumptions. Until we become curious and want to know about others, we will continue to move forward with just assumptions. So you could assume that, yes, I'm full of culture. That always hasn't been the case for me. I was born and raised in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican. I didn't start learning really about culture until we moved to Puerto Rico when I was 15. Until then, I just thought that I existed as a human and that was it. I didn't really think of other countries or other people. And I didn't learn about Mexico until I was 25 and went to the border to get a tattoo. That's when I learned about Mexico. I had no idea. I remember a gentleman telling me that he was from El Salvador. And I said, where's that at in Mexico? I had no idea. I had to go home, and I'm going to date myself, but I had to go home and go through my encyclopedias to figure out where is El Salvador. I have no idea. So it didn't come just naturally just because of the way that I look. It came from me being curious. And that's what we have to do. We have to be curious. If we go back to garden sports and Rowe's 4 dimensions, we can break that down into elements. Let's think of the element of age. We can have the culture of being young and the culture of being old. Even within that culture, you can break it down even more. You can be a young 1-year-old and have a culture and be a 13-year-old and have a completely different culture. And how about the culture of a 47-year-old versus the culture of an 87-year-old? Very, very different cultures. Let's look at marriage. A newlywed compared to someone married 25 or 50 years, that's a completely different culture. And let's look at disabilities. You can have the culture of disability, but you can also have the culture of an invisible disability and a visible disability. So when we start to break down and start to really look at our elements, like who are we start to see just how unique we really are. And so the problem is that in society, we think that if you're different, you're wrong. You're doing something wrong. So if you don't peel the banana like I peel the banana, you're peeling it wrong. You're doing something wrong. You're odd. You're weird. You're an outsider. And so what we need to start doing is understanding that I just do things differently. I do things in a different way, but I'm still going to reach the same outcome. And if we're able to look at this, we're able then to carry this over into our workplace, into our friendships, into our relationships, into just our interaction in society, so that when we do see these things that look a little weird to us or a little odd to us, we can say, I have some things too that are a little different. I may not celebrate or do things a certain way, but it's okay. We still are going to reach that same outcome. So what I said was be curious about yourself, right? That's the first step. The second step is be curious about others. So you can't be curious about others until you've dealt with your own curiosity and understood who you are. And so I want to share a story from Zig Ziglar. And he was basically explaining that there was a couple that was going to cook a ham. And he asked his wife to cut the ends off of the ham. And so he wondered why she asked him to do that. So instead of being the good husband and just doing what she ordered, He said, why do you do that? And she said, well, my mother always cut the ham like that. And so he said, we're going to call her. And so they called her up and asked her, and she said, well, my mother always cut the ham like that. And so that's how we do it. And so he said, let's call grandma up. And so they called grandma up to ask her, why do you cut the ham this way? And she said, oh, we cut the ends off of the ham because the stove was too small. The grandmother had a reason for doing it all this time. The next two generations did not have a reason for doing it, right? And so many times that's what happens with culture. We repeat and repeat patterns and behaviors, and we think they're correct and we think they're appropriate, but we never really question what's going on. So not only do we have to question ourselves and understand ourselves, we have to begin to understand and question those around us. You know, I had someone that questioned me a while back and they wanted to know what my favorite food was. Now, in their head, they told me later on that they already knew what my favorite food was. They already assumed that they knew. And this is my comfort food. But they were like, I know you're going to say tacos. Like, nope, not tacos. And the person was in shock because she was just for sure that that was my comfort food. I said, nope, my comfort food is actually meatloaf. And that person was in shock. It's been a conversation starter now all over the place about my love for meatloaf. But it just goes back to that being curious, right? So being curious and not being afraid to have these conversations, to not only have these conversations about yourself, because sometimes what this means questioning our family. This means questioning patterns that have lived for years and years and years in our family, right? This means maybe stopping something that you've done forever because now you understand it a little better. But that is going to come with being curious about who you are. So, really breaking down those elements, breaking down those dimensions to understand. And then that curiosity for others, that curiosity that want to understand other people, that want to understand why are you different? Why are you doing this way? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to understand how other people are getting through in this world, how other people are doing things. And I promise you, when you're able to start to understand who you are and start to question your patterns, then when you start to look at other people, they don't start to look so weird as we see them, right? Or so different or so odd as they may seem. We start to see that, wow, they actually are doing pretty much the same thing I'm doing, just a little different. There's a favorite food that I like. It's a relleno de papa. And this is the food that we eat in Puerto Rico. And I was thinking about this food and I'm like, I've tasted this before. Like, what is this combo? It's basically shepherd's pie. It's mashed potatoes, it's the ground beef, and it's just fried. We make a ball with it, we shove the meat in it, and we fry it. But it's shepherd's pie. So it's like it's the same ingredients, it's the same food that we eat. We're simply just presenting it and eating it a little differently, but it's the same thing essentially. So I think when we start to see that we have so many things that we are similar in, yes, we are different, but when we're able to start having those conversations with people, we start to learn that, wow, we actually are very, very similar. And so I just encourage each and every one of you to just start having those conversations, start asking people. And if you can't think of what to ask, simply ask someone, so how do you peel a banana? I'm sure you're going to get a lot of conversation on because like you learned today, we really don't think about those things. We really don't think of how we peel a banana. We simply have done it because that's how we learned how to do it. So with that being said, if all else fails, simply ask, how do you peel your banana? Thank you.